So I'm excited to have JL Holdsworth on
I'm
right now.
very excited. Yeah.
You powerlifting legend, entrepreneur, uh, man who picks up cars to move them when they block people in. I mean, you're a public speaker. You consult with a lot of professional sport teams, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
do you want to take this off? Or you want
Yeah.
me to,
No, I mean,
this is exciting.
I wanted to just fill us in first of all, like if you don't mind just giving us a quick rundown of your background. We covered a little bit of it and what you're up to now, and then we'll dive into a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, from a real small town in Michigan, and found strength real early. It was I was a late bloomer, so I was about 135 pounds as a freshman. I hit puberty, started lifting weights, was about 190 as a sophomore. So really just fell in love with weights right away. Ended up playing college football. Got done with college football, was a strength and conditioning coach at the University of Kentucky. Did my first powerlifting meet when I was there at a small town by Columbus, Ohio. I ended up beating everyone in my weight class from Westside Barbell. And after the meet, Louis came up to me and threatened me that I had to move to Columbus and Westside Barbell. And so, I moved to Columbus. The goal was always be a world champion, set some world records. And I've been fortunate enough in powerlifting to do those two things. When I did 775, it was a world record in the bench press. I had the fourth highest total in the world all time with a 904 squat, 775 bench, and an 804 deadlift. I was 2004. So unfortunately in 2004, I was doing an 1,100 pound squat. I herniated L5S1. It took me out of competitive powerlifting for 10 years. I had to travel. I had to learn. I always say if I wouldn't have gotten hurt, I would probably just be known as this guy who had the world record in powerlifting. But now I'm such a better strength coach. I'm a better person just for the things I had to go through and learn from that. And so I worked my way back in 2014, won a world championship in the deadlift. And since then, man, it's been 100% focused on my business, the Spot Athletics. We have two 20,000 square foot private training facilities in Columbus, Ohio. So those are amazing facilities. We had a great staff. I have 3 kids. And then 3 years ago, I co-founded Reflexive Performance Reset, which is really an entirely new way of understanding how a human being functions.
There's a million topics that Zach and I discussed earlier that we want to dive in. First thing I got to ask you though, did you watch West Side versus the World?
Yes, I've seen the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
So, So when they made the documentary, it was after I got hurt. I had left West Side. I started my own facility. But it's funny because one of the scenes in there, one of the coolest days of my life too, is in there, which is the day I took someone's name off the record board and wrote my name up on the record board.
Yeah.
And so that was a scene that they put in the movie. So it's kind of nice that one of my favorite days of my entire life is in that movie.
You can only say that if you're somewhat of a meathead. So it's just one of those spots that I've always kind of dreamed of seeing. But I'd like to talk about RPR.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about your facilities as well. I mean, I know RPR you probably implement a little bit of RPR into your facilities as a whole holistic powerlifting program, whatever it is you're actually run. But would you mind describing for a minute what the two 20,000 square foot facilities focus on?
It's funny, we have a powerlifting group, but it's attorneys and teachers and, accountants and people that just came in, started lifting, loved training, and they decided to compete in our powerlifting group. For us, we like to say athletes from 8 to 80 years old. So, we have a good bit of collegiate professional athletes, but our bread and butter, just like anybody else in the private sector, is young kids trying to become better athletes and better people, and then adults who are trying to not hurt, look better naked and all those things.
I mean, that makes sense. The adults looking better naked. It seems to be something that is pretty consistent nationwide.
God forbid they were to move better.
I know, yeah, exactly. With the kids coming in to help their athletics, how is it that, I think when it's coming up, we didn't really have these types of facilities, or they weren't as, I don't want to say refined, but they weren't accessible to a guy like me. And so I was kind of forced to do things and learn the hard way, meaning injury. It sounds like your knees took a beating too. How are you, helping these kids stay healthy and to help them prolong their careers?
So in our program, we basically have a couple buckets for our athletes and our adults too. So, we break things up into life ready and sport ready. And so within those, we have buckets. And Our first bucket is PFB, which is just pain-free body. And that one's a non-negotiable. Training should make you feel better, not worse. And I think that's one of the things that's probably the most commonly messed up thing in our field is people feel, I've heard people say, write down how many times once I get in shape, I'm going to come train. Well, once you get rich, you're going to get a job. Like, I mean, what kind of sense does that make? So I think one of the biggest things is we have at our facility, we have a zero pain tolerance training philosophy. And so we believe that no exercise is required in the gym. The only thing that's required is you get better and you achieve the goals you want to achieve. And so for us, that first bucket's that PFB. So we make sure we do a lot of people, and I'm going to throw something out there that a lot of people are going to be like, what? We do a ton of static stretching. I love static stretching. I think it's great. It's funny. I talk to people and they go, oh, well, we don't do it. So why don't you do it? Well, I just don't think it's as good as this or that. And I say, awesome. Have you ever tried it? Crickets.
Yeah.
Well, how can you say something's not as good as something else if you've never tried that other thing?
Static stretching, I still believe is great. I still do it in my program. There's a specific time during my training that I might do it, or a specific time during the day that it just fits into my lifestyle. But, I agree with you 100% on that.
But there's something else is that somebody might latch on, good or bad, they may latch onto that study because they can market something that they can make money from,
right.
And they don't care what they demonize as long as
right.
what they're pushing can benefit.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been in business now 8 years, and at first we never saw this, and more we're getting people, 11-year-old kids in with L5 stress fractures of the spine. It's year-round, one sport since they're 6 years old, and so we really promote multi-sport with our athletes. Do as many different activities as possible.
Time out. Thank you. I'm sorry not to make a big deal. It drives me ballistic,
it does.
And that's if we stop this interview right now. You are brilliant in my eyes and it's the problem is the parents. It's the parents. They want every kid to be Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan, and they put them into one specific sport and they have them do it around the clock thinking that it's going to be the best thing for athletic development, and it's the worst. And I need you to talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, so when you look at all the stuff, so you look at all professional athletes, Division I athletes, I think it's 90% were multi-sport athletes. So this notion that playing one sport will make you better, literally, you can just look at the data and know it's not true. The other side of it is, I believe with everything, you have to understand the history of how we got there. And so when I was a kid, I'm 41 years old. When I was a kid, there was an all-star team. You had your community teams, and you had an all-star team. You had one all-star team. Then all of a sudden, these clubs teams started popping up, and you could pay to travel and get better competition. And it was, in general, for a good idea. Well, then what happened was these club coaches realized, well, if I just take the best kids, there's really not much money in that. However, if I have 10 club teams and anybody can be on a club team, then I can make a lot of money. So then these club coaches started pushing, be with my club year round, you'll be better. And then we ended up in this deal where one parent said, well, Susie's playing year round and my kid's not, I don't want him to get behind. When the exact opposite is true. If your kid plays 3 different sports, your kid's gonna be so much further ahead, because literally what sport is the ability to solve a motor pattern and spatial awareness problem faster than the other person.
It's just bringing people down to earth, like everybody does dream of having, being, well, not everybody, but a lot of kids dream about being professional athletes. It is the road there. Any athlete or any sport is really, really bumpy. It's tough. And the odds of you actually getting there are low. So you got to have that backup. It seems like you're just trying to, as you said, just create better humans and give them something they can really take with them rather than just build up their bodies.
What about fun? It was interesting. We're talking about young athletic development. There was just recently, it was an article or it was someone who went up to Wayne Gretzky, and this father was with this kid. And was like, hey, Wayne, tell my son how much did you practice? Tell him. And he looks at the kid. He goes, kid, I never practiced. I played. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
I went out there and I had fun and I played. And it's just, I think the parents ruin this for their children. Let them have a good time. Let them develop on their own. Give me your opinion on that.
Well, it's funny. So obviously we're on this podcast. I have my noise canceling headphones on. I have a 13-year-old son, and when I'm on, he plays lacrosse, and he's on a club lacrosse team, and he's 13, and he's played every single sport there is at this point, and he's narrowed it down now. He loves football and lacrosse, and when we go to games, I put my headphones on so I can't hear the other parents. And it's my son comes off the field, and there's two questions, and this is for all the parents listening out there. There's two questions you should ask your child when they come off the field. Did you do your best? Did you have fun? That's it. And that's the only two questions I asked my son, because the first thing is, a lot of parents are screaming at the kids, run faster, play harder, do this, you should do this. You know what? I asked my son, did you do your best? If he says yes, I have nothing I can improve. How can I improve on his best?
Yeah.
Right. And so I see these parents ruining these kids because a kid comes off the field, he feels like he played his best, his hardest. Now you're looking at that as a 40-year-old, and you see professional sports and you saw him loafing over here. You saw he could have done this better over here. But if he comes off and he says, I did my best, and then you start berating him, what are you now telling him?
Yeah, that's not good enough.
His best isn't good enough for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what kind of message? And so I'll tell you, like, and this builds into RPR a little bit. This is completely 180 degrees from the way my philosophy used to be on life.
Who was like someone that helped you get here?
So honestly, I don't say this with any kind of pride, but when my son was 10, they were having a football game, and a parent on the other sideline was running his mouth, and he started running his mouth more, and it came down to, like, I'm gonna do some things to you that your kids aren't gonna like to watch you go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And that used to be who I was every day. For me, strong breeze, someone give me a weird look, I just punch him in the face. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was how I lived life from the time I was in elementary school till, honestly, probably about 5 years ago. That's honestly how I went through life. And I mean, it's, it was really good for things like football. I was always the most violent person on the field. There was no one who was more violent on a football field than me. I have a football helmet at my house that I got to keep because I cracked the helmet. And the guy that I cracked it on also went away in an ambulance. And, like, for me, it drove me right. When I got to Westside Barbell, if you're not used to it, it's iron sharpens iron. You go into Westside Barbell, the odds of you getting in a fight, like, who knows? It could happen. And for me, I thrived in that environment. I mean, I came in there and I was like, awesome, I found my place. And, I trained, there's two crews, there's a morning crew and a night crew. I left the night crew for the morning crew because I tried to fight someone and they wouldn't fight me. And so I said I wouldn't train with someone who wouldn't fight me. And so that's how I used to go through life. And so what happened was, it was 4 years ago. Douglas Heel teaches a system called Be Activated. So the philosophy is what we use for RPR. And I went through his workshop, and after I did, I literally felt like a different person. And I said to him, this has to be something we've got to get out to more people. And so he teaches something that's very practitioner based. And so what I did was I worked with him, and then my two other partners in RPR, Cal Beats, who some people may be familiar with, triphasic training. Cal wrote that.
I read that book.
Yeah, so Cal actually was the one who told me about Douglas and what he was doing, because Cal had learned. And then so Cal and a sprint coach who's amazing, Chris Corfus, had told Cal. So the three of us said, okay, we're strength coaches, we're dealing with all these athletes and individuals. And so I went to Douglas and said, hey, I want to make this something that people can do themselves and have access to on a daily basis. And so Cal, Chris, and I worked together, and we developed Reflexive Performance Reset. And basically, it's been 3 years since we co-founded that. And so I use RPR every single day. And, like I said in the beginning, it literally is and I believe that, sitting here right now, in 20 years from now, the world will understand, and I hope to be a big part of that. And what I mean by that is, right now, we've all been taught a mechanical view of the body. So, Don, can you hear me?
Yes.
Froze for a sec.
Yep.
So, If I ask you what makes you do a sit-up, what would you say?
I would say several things. Spinal flexion. I would say core strength. I would say
Awesome.
abdominals,
Yeah, so
whatever.
You're a super smart dude, so you could go very deep into that. However, what I want you to realize is all those things you just mentioned, does a cadaver have all of those?
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Cadaver has all those,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
If I tell a cadaver to do a sit-up, can it?
No.
But it has all the things you just told me that makes you do a sit-up.
Absolutely. I know what you're getting at.
Okay. So what really makes you do a sit-up? Your nervous system.
Right.
And your nervous system controls everything in your body. Mm-hmm. It controls everything. So think about this. We literally went through school. We learned about the neuromuscular system. And then literally they go, forget about the first part of the word. I mean, here's the deal. I started out, I wanted to be an attorney. That was what I originally went to school for. I blew my knee out skiing. Athletic trainer at Ferris State, Dave Lucy, was this amazing guy. Started giving me all these books on science. I came back bigger, stronger, faster. I said, man, this is what I want to do. And so for me, I happen to be a very smart person who then fell in love with training. And so when I look at these things, I look at them from a more global perspective. And so it's interesting to me, M comes before N. So they named it neuromuscular because neuro has to come first. And so it's interesting. We went to school, we learned about this, and then they just taught us about where all the muscles attach and all these things. And the reason is this is why I'm saying it's a paradigm shift. Right now, we're being taught that mechanical view, right? The muscles, this and that. Well, Don, here's the thing. Your nervous system controls everything. Mm-hmm. So the analogy I always give is this. The nervous system is the electricity of the body. The light, so it's just like walking into a dark house at night, right? If you walk into a dark house at night, you flip the light switch, light comes on. No one's confused by that. No one thinks that's magical anymore. But 150 years ago, if you would have said, I'm going to flip a switch and it's going to get bright in this dark room, everybody would want to burn you at the stake because they didn't understand electricity, right? That's where we're at with the human body right now.
Well, explain it a little bit, because the nervous system to me is it could be broad to most people, but for me, I think about it as like the body's like, it's almost like the power plant I would describe as like the mitochondria.
Yeah, your electrical system.
Yeah, it's like your electrical system pretty much. But and what's incredible about it, and this is what I want to bounce off of you, is you can be the most high performance individual and you can continue to train, which is what a lot of the viewers do, and they wonder why in time they're getting into worse shape. Or maybe they're eating really clean and they're training and they're resting and doing all the right stuff, but they run up a flight of stairs and they're suddenly out of breath. Mm-hmm. So is RPR more about a breathing technique? Like how do you accomplish that?
So we show people all the time, basically by using the breathing and the wake up drills, it shifts the neurological firing sequence. So we have people, that's why people instantly set squat PRs, instantly set deadlift PRs. We've had people who've had low back problems for years. We take them through, they feel, I'll tell you probably the coolest thing I've had, well, there's so much, but I taught a clinic out in California a couple months ago. And it's a room full of strength coaches and athletic trainers and physical therapy, all these different people. And there's athletes came there, track athletes who are just like, I just want to be faster. And I've heard great things. And so there's all these people there. And there was one lady who had some platform shoes, a cardigan, like she, I look at you guys, I'm like, man, these guys work out. These are my people, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like, we can hang out. We can go to the gym and lift. Like, we're going to like to do some similar things. This lady looked like she was from the other side of the world, right? And so he goes around, everyone introduced. She goes, I'm the weird one here. She said, I've had SI pain so bad. I've been to every specialist in LA and no one can help me. And the last person was an orthopedic surgeon, wanted to do surgery to see maybe if they could figure some things out. She went to visit her friend at her friend where she personal trained. She went with her friend while she was visiting her friend, and her friend's personal trainer had been through RPR. And he just showed her in like 10 minutes to do some stuff. She'd been doing it for 2 weeks. She was pain-free.
Right.
And she goes, I've been to every specialist in LA and no one could help me. And this personal trainer just showed me what you guys teach, and now I'm pain-free. And she goes, I'm just here to understand if I'm doing it right.
So what was, and why is it that people are teaching it and not teaching this, but like, why is she still in pain? What are they doing wrong? Like, say if she's going to the specialist or a doctor.
So I wouldn't say they're doing anything wrong.
Okay.
Because I think anybody who's in fitness or in medical, they are literally doing the best they can with the information they have. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody ever gets into this field and says, I don't want to help people, right? Or I want to do something that's not effective. Yay, yeah, right? No one does that. And so I don't like to say anyone's doing things wrong. I just say they're doing the best they can with the information they have.
You've co-created a breathing system, probably with specific movement, some type of a program that you're now packaging, and can anyone get access to this?
That was my question.
Yeah, is this something where, like, is it an online course? Is it a book that you're selling? If someone wants to hear more about it, go into detail on that.
Yeah, so if we have our website, reflexiveperformance.com, and on there we have an online course. The thing about the online course, my mission in life is really to help as many people as possible. And I believe that's going to come through changing the world and shifting this paradigm of how we understand human beings function.
I'm really curious right now to kind of hear more about how coaches implement it and the program. Is it something where, is it implemented into, like, you're coming in, you're consulting now with a professional sport team, which Zach and I noticed that you tend to do, and and if you're implementing the RPR system to say, I'm making up a team right now, the St. Louis Cardinals, and you're going in there, is it something that the coaches are implementing from start to finish of that program, or is it something that more goes into, call it what you want, the prehab, the dynamic warm-up early on? Is it something you're doing before the formal? I'm just trying to wrap my head around what this actually looks and feels like.
Yeah, so two things. One, I want to tell you, so Greg, he called us and was like, man, I love what you guys are doing. He's like, he's a big proponent of taking care of the nervous system.
He's the best.
But when we go in, whether it's a professional team, whether it's a high school team, we at all levels, from middle school to the highest of the military units. This is something that people are going to use every single day of their life. And it's not just now, as far as, like, if we're talking just workout, this is going to be, because it only takes, depending on how, what you're doing, it takes about 3 to 6 minutes to run through everything. So it's really quick. And kind of the thing I always say, that in my life, there's three hurdles something has to get over. One, is it safe? 2, is it effective? And 3, does it save me time, or at least not cost me any more time? Mm-hmm. And the thing I look at is, like, do I fly? Well, it's pretty safe. It gets me where I got to go, and it saves me a lot of time if I had to drive. And that's how I look at RPR too, is it's super safe. You do everything yourself. It's super effective. You feel the difference. That's the cool part about the nervous system. You feel the difference instantly. It's not a do this for 8 weeks and feel. It's literally, we're on camera. I know this is a podcast, but I could have you guys do a couple squats and things and show you guys some stuff, and you would just instantly feel better. That's how quick it works. And then it saves you a ton of time, because all that so I've got a lot of stuff, I've had knee surgeries, biceps, I've had all these things, herniated that back. So for me to deadlift heavy, it used to take me an hour to get ready to pull heavy. Now with RPR, because I used to do all the stuff, right? Glute bridges, clamshells. I used to do banded distraction. I used to do foam roll this, do that. And it's not that I don't still use some of that stuff, because everything's a tool in your toolbox. Mm-hmm. However, RPR is the base of the toolbox, right? So now when I do RPR, it takes me 15 minutes to be ready for a heavy deadlift, and it used to take me an hour. Right. And so it literally saves me 45 minutes. So when we talk about implementing, it actually saves, when we go to teams, it saves them a ton of time, because now they don't have to spend as much time with all the rehab stuff, because now what they're learning is, oh my God, this guy's ankles were locked up. Well, it turns out in the mechanical view, we try to stretch that and do everything. Well, if we take away the neurological tension, that ankle opens up all by itself. Mm-hmm. We don't even have to stretch it. Okay. And so I had a guy, he worked with a physical therapist once a week for 5 years on his hamstring flexibility. And he was just one of those guys. Like, since high school, I've never been flexible. So his hamstring, you lay him down flat, it could come up to 45 degrees. So I asked his physical therapist, I said, what's the best you've ever got? He goes, man, 60 degrees, maybe. I literally lay him down, show him how to breathe, how to do the wake up drills. 5 minutes, his hamstring's at 90 degrees.
Did you have?
Yeah, I have something after you. The first question I had is, so is someone taking the online course? What does it cost them? Like, what's it going to run them?
Yeah, our online course is $300, and for us, everything we taught, the first professional team I went in and implemented this with, we had just started it. They got a hold of me and said, man, I heard from them, there's where I'm in Columbus, Ohio. So the first team we implemented is the most popular team here. And they go, man, these guys are using it. They're loving it. Like, we got to get you in. And my whole thing was, my mission in life isn't to be a guru. My mission is to help as many people as possible. And so when we looked at this course and the way we do it, I mean, I know there's other courses out there. It's $10,000 to do this and all this. Our course is $300, and it changed. Like, I get emails daily from people who it's changed their lives. Yeah, but that's worth more than any money.
But this is my question. And I'm going to talk openly. I know we just met.
Let's do it.
I almost feel like you're pigeonholing yourself though, because you have this system that changes lives. You have this system that would cater a lot more, and we haven't gone through it. I'm very curious to check it out. I mean, I'd love to, but why are you catering to the coach, which makes up, such a small percentage? Why not put this into a manual, make it very user friendly, sell it for $49.99? Anyone's going to pay any amount of money if they know they can feel better in 3 to 6 minutes, which is what you said. Most people are sold.
And I'll take it a step further. And so part of this is, it's where we're starting. So like I said, we're releasing a client course, which because the client course is going to be $50, and people will be able to buy that. They won't learn all the science behind it. They won't learn all that. They'll just learn, here's when I do it, here's how to do it. And so we are moving to that. The thing I'll say is, we've talked a lot about the physical side of it, but honestly, we have schools, because the part that it does is it allows you to create a parasympathetic state, rest and recover. So when you do that, you then can think clearer, be calmer, have less anxiety. So we have schools, we have a teacher that's up for Teacher of the Year in his state. And one of the big reasons is because he's bringing, before the junior class took their ACTs, he brought them in the gym and ran them all through RPR. So his classes do RPR every day. So they're calmer, so they're more focused, and so they can do better in school. So when we talk about applications, we're starting in sport and fitness because that's what I do.
Right.
But the applications for this, we talk about, kind of long-term big, BHAGs, if you know that term, big, hairy, audacious goal. It's to globally change the world in the way that the body's studied and understood. And I really believe that once this is embraced at every level, it's going to make the world a healthier, happier, better place to be.
Well, I know Zach and I are really, we're just about running out of time here, but I know Zach and I are really excited to check it out. I don't know if you're going to be out at the Olympia. I know we're going to be out there.
No, I asked him. You must go to the Arnold every year, though, right?
You go to the Arnold?
Yeah,
you've got to be. I mean,
Arnold's in town.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to meet you.
Right next door.
Let's meet you. When's the Arnold? That's February?
In March.
March, yeah. So we'll meet you at the Arnold in March, and maybe you could take us through a little tutorial on it. But if someone wants to hear more about RPR and you, can you give us some information on where to find you?
Yeah, I post a lot of stuff on Instagram. It's coach_JL. I do a lot of my personal stuff. We also have the Spot Athletics if people have gyms and want to see stuff. Reflexiveperformance.com. We're on Instagram, RPR system. And then reflexiveperformance.com. People can go there.
I can't wait to check it out. I'll go online and take a peek at it. I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen, man, it was great having you on. I mean, I thought it was fantastic.
It's really good.
No, it's awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for taking time out of the day and chatting, man.
No, it was great.
And if you're ever in New York, let us know.
Yeah,
man. We'd love to have you by.
Dude, I'm out there all the time, man. I'm out. We do a lot of stuff with different teams out there, so I'm out there all the time. Dude, so I'm definitely gonna hang out and get a lift in, man.
Hit us up, man. Yeah, for sure. That would be great to meet up. I'm not gonna lift anywhere near you because the weights that you would be putting up would
just go lift cars.
Would dwarf. Yeah, I should. I could lift like a remote car, dude. I'm not gonna.
Hey, I'm done. I'm done deadlifting 800 pounds, man. It's my goal. Like, my number one goal in life is to help change the world, and spending the amount of time I have to spend to be the best in the world at lifting. I want to spend my time changing the world, man. It's just different priorities.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and that's actually what we wanted to do. That's what we're trying to do here with this, is highlight people that are really trying to get out there and spread a good message. And that's why I'm saying we really appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, brother. Thanks again, man. Best of luck.
Man.
And keep in touch.
Thanks,
when you're
guys.
in New York, let us
Take
know.
care.
See ya.
Yeah, for sure.